r/AskReddit by Redmond ETS. What's the cringiest thing you've ever seen someone do in public? Saw a guy propose at a packed sports game. She said no, and the camera was on them. Whole stadium saw it go down. This grown 40-year-old man was yelling at a 16-year-old girl at Burger King because his food was taking too long, even though it was only her and one cook back there, and he saw that coming in and could have easily went to a different restaurant. But no, he screamed at a teenage girl and made her cry, and she had to get the manager. Watched someone try to start a flash mob in the mall, but no one joined in, just danced alone while everyone watched. This person was yelling at the barista for getting their coffee order wrong. Made a huge scene over a latte. My coworker does not like doing his job, so he would use the air hose to send his mess onto my side for me to clean up. I started sending it back to him, and his response was to get in my face and start screaming like a child. Both cringe and sad, I've got to admit. Was in New Zealand and saw a street magician in passing who was in the middle of his act with a volunteer. In the middle of the bit he stops and, into the mix, says, "I'm sorry, I think I'm going to have to stop this here because no one really cares and my ego isn't big enough to handle this, unfortunately." I then realized he had no audience, no crowd of spectators watching him do his thing, like you normally see with street performers. He then apologizes to the volunteer and says, "I think I'm just going to pack up everything and my pride and head down to the pub for a beer." Didn't happen to me, but a friend. She was in a band and she and one of the guys in the band and they grabbed dinner one night. They had a couple of times prior. Out of nowhere, he gets on a knee in the restaurant and proposes to her, with no ring. With everyone looking, she just yelled, "What? No," and walked out. She really tried to figure out how he thought they were dating. Aside from dinner after rehearsal a couple of times, they had never even kissed. Once saw someone in a full fursuit being walked by a chick in BDSM gear in daylight. Was waiting in an agonizingly long line at the post office. It was completely silent in there. A man behind us answered a call to a person who, I assume, was a psychiatrist or a therapist, because when he took the call he said, "Hello doctor." He then proceeded to loudly go into great juicy detail about his problems, as well as some deep drama that was going on with his family, which I think involved some sort of crime. It was extremely intimate, and it was painful being held hostage in that line, having to listen to every detail of this man's private life. I watched my friend throw a temper tantrum like a freaking child when he realized he was short on money to buy an anime figure because he wasn't paying attention to his finances. I called him out on that. Still friends with him, but my love for the guy has been faltering in recent years. People doing TikTok dances. Woman shaving her legs at the public pool. Cream and everything. Saw a lad I knew at a party sitting on the floor, crying, on the phone to his friend, begging her to come back to his party. Another lad said, "Hang up before you lose all your freaking dignity." One time I was at the grocery store and there was like 10-year-old banging on his mom's boobs like bongos, and making the noises and everything. She looked at him and was like, "Not at the store. You let them do this at home." At a concert, this dude tried climbing on stage, got caught by security and dragged out in front of everyone. I saw a guy at a flogging Molly concert get up on stage and start dancing until he got tackled by security. It was hilarious. Another couple in a restaurant right beside us. He fed her from his dish. She ordered nothing, and he was obviously really uncomfortable with this situation. Just sitting there basically by himself, eating, feeding his girlfriend or date or whatever, while she was permanently on the phone, taking selfies and complaining about the food. It was cringe and sad at the same time. I was dating a girl many years ago, and we all went out the night before her birthday and got smashed. The next day we're all eating breakfast at 2 p.m. and her housemate, who had a massive crush on her, he wasn't subtle, and it annoyed her, came in with a birthday cake with lit candles and all that. He started singing happy birthday, and literally not one other person in the room joined in. We'd already sung it, this was quiet brain times. He finished the whole song, while 6 hungover people just sat there and watched. It was so bad. So bad. He did this in front of you, the guy she was dating? How socially clueless was this damn person? At a bar, a sort of new guy hangs out at the bar and chats with the bartender and me, and overcomes an attractive woman and asks for 2 beers. I guess the new guy didn't hear her all too well, and he leans in, trying to be smooth, and says, "Make that 2 beers." And the bartender was like, She asked for 2 beers. He just goes, "Oh," and slumps down, looking away, while the girl awkwardly smiles before getting her beers and walking back to her friend. We had a band in high school. We weren't going to get too far, but we knew some songs and were decent enough for the locals to like. We put the word out that we were looking for a keyboardist. It was the 80s, so we had no choice. This guy, who was a known liar and exaggerator, told us that he could play and had a keyboard. We were surprised but said okay, and set a date for him to come practice with us. He cancelled and agreed to the following week. He shows up with a 44-key Casio piece of crap and no amp. We plugged his little toy into our PA system and he began hovering his fingers over the keyboard. Keep in mind there were us 4 bandmates and about 6 girls hanging around watching. He never played so much as Mary had a little lamb. He pretended to be rusty. It's been a while. We just stood in awe of the audacity to oversell yourself only to do nothing at all. That's all, folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening.